Alrighty, back at it with another Q&A today. If I slow the rate of weight loss, should calories go up? I mean, how else are you going to get the rate of fat loss to slow down? You can either like decrease your activity or increase your food. That's it. And normally decreasing activity is harder to do unless you're doing a lot of cardio. So the only thing you can do if you need to stop losing weight so fast is to up your food. I got sick 3 times in a row. Any advice? I would advise you to wash your hands a little more often. No, I mean, there's not that much you can do to not get sick other than like not expose yourself to people. So if there's environments that you go around a lot that you could avoid that are getting you sick, maybe do that. But a lot of times people get sick from like work, so they have no choice. One thing you can definitely do is go on chronometer.com and make sure that your diet is not deficient in any micronutrients, as that will definitely increase the rate at which you get sick and how long you spend dealing with each sickness as well. It's really easy to do. Just put your diet in on there and it'll show you what you're deficient in. Really useful tool. Is the national debt as big of a deal as people make it seem? Well, believe it or not, man, I am not a political economist in my spare time. It can be a big deal because if there's nations that call on loans and we default, we lose our standing as like the highest credit type of nation. And that will make pretty much any deal that we get with any other country worse. That said, personally, I don't really give a shit, because if I'm reading the tea leaves and the tea leaves are saying the United States is about to get I'll leave. Isn't that a pretty privileged perspective, Izzy? Yes. And I think everyone who is mentally healthy, like me, I don't have any mental illnesses, physically healthy, like me, don't have any disabilities. And 3, anyone who has a shred of talent, which I do, it's a moral obligation for you to be successful and provide advantages and privileges for your family. And I have no intention of breaking that line when that's exactly what my mother did for me. If you fit into those same categories of health, I think you have an obligation to be successful as well. Do with that information what you will. What are the pros and cons of fat grips? Pros of fat grips. Every exercise that you put them on will automatically become a forearm exercise. You'll get increased forearm activation. Cons of fat grips. Every exercise that you put them on automatically becomes a forearm exercise, even if you were trying to train your chest, your pecs, your biceps, whatever else. So the utility of fat grips, in my opinion, is pretty much just if you're trying to train your forearms. Where do you put deadlifts on a push-pull leg split so as to not interfere with leg day recovery? My standard suggestion for this is to simply put deadlifts on leg day. Have 2 different leg days. One leg day, what you're going to do is you're going to pair something like deadlift and leg press with maybe some leg extensions. And then on your second day, you're going to pair leg curls with a squat variation and maybe something like a split squat. And that way you're getting glute, hamstring, and quad in both of your leg day sessions. The older I get, the more I hear people say it is selfish to not want to have kids. I never wanted kids when I was younger, and now that I'm at the ripe old age of 25, I still don't want them. Am I selfish? 2 things. 1, normally it's like selfish grandparents that say this in the first place, like people that want grandkids, they want their name to continue, they have old school values. So there's that. I mean, I don't see how it could possibly be selfish to not want to bring another human into the world and thus have them spend up resources and take up space. Not exactly a selfish thing. Second, you're 25. Is that supposed to be old? What, did you just graduate college? How long have you had a real job? Wait, do you have a partner? Because once all of these things start to come into the picture, that's where the desire will begin to develop for kids, if you ever have it. I don't think it's selfish to never have kids. There's plenty of people that go that route. And there's also plenty of people who say that their kids are the best thing that ever happened to them. So make your own choice. As an early intermediate, my arms look disproportionately small. Any tips? Everybody thinks their arms look disproportionately small. I think my arms look disproportionately small, and I have 19-inch arms. Like, welcome to the real world. But no, honestly, just make sure that you're training them with appropriate volume, frequency, and intensity. You can put your arms first on at least 1 session per week. Like if you do a pull day where you do back and biceps, do biceps and back, just like I do. Or you could pair biceps with a different muscle group on a second day of the week so that you're training them first once a week and second on another day of the week. But other than that, man, you just have to give things time to grow. So if you're progressing in strength, if they're progressing in size, it just is what it is. You have to give it time. Let it marinate. Let the gains roll in over time. See if you can optimize your training in any way, but after that, it's just patience. What is the best way to incorporate learning how to dunk into a lifting program that will have the least amount of impact on leg days? Dunking is probably one of the most ridiculous hobbies that I can personally think of, especially because people hear that and they go, what's ridiculous about basketball? These people don't play basketball. They just want to dunk and not play actual basketball. They just dunk. Anyway, like anything else, it's totally going to depend on how much of it that you do. A serious jump program, a program designed to increase running vertical or even standing vertical, is going to have you doing lower body plyometrics 3, maybe even 4 times a week, especially if you're under-trained on the plyometric aspect and you have a surplus of strength. There's no way to do this without massive interference, man. So just decide what your goals are and then pick. Jumpers are often very strong in the legs anyway. What are some ways to fix windmilling if you were having that issue on deadlifts? Honestly, if you pull sumo, the best way to get rid of it is to learn hook grip. I'm sure you knew I was going to say that, but it really is the best and most straightforward way. Oftentimes, it doesn't work quite as well to try and fix it sumo because you have differences going on between the underhand and overhand rubbing against your legs that are creating asymmetries. If you're windmilling on conventional, that's a different story. That asymmetry can often be solved by using a slightly offset grip. Sometimes it helps to put the underhand out like maybe a half an inch to an inch more. But those would be the main things that I would look at first. Thoughts on minoxidil for facial hair growth. So for those who don't know, that is the active ingredient in Rogaine. And it 100% works. I mean, my own brother has done it. I know people on internet forums that have done it. I know internet friends that have done it. It's kind of crazy, but it works. Heuristics for equating short versus long bias movements to physique needs. So that just doesn't really make sense to me. You're going to pick movements based on which muscle groups they train. For example, like if you're going to identify that your triceps are a weak point, you aren't going to worry about necessarily like what tricep exercise that you're going to do, the short bias versus long bias. You're just going to pick the tricep exercises that give you the best SFR and help create the best net performance within the session, meaning that you'll probably have relatively short bias tricep stuff first and longer bias stuff towards the end so that it doesn't hurt your performance as much. Maybe you can DM me or retry asking this question with a little bit more context as to what you're asking, because I feel like I'm just not even answering what you're asking. What's the difference between getting all of your sleep in one go at night versus breaking it up into naps throughout the day? Well, first of all, your REM and deep sleep cycles are tied to light. So in the early morning, you will have most of your REM sleep, and early in the night, you're going to get most of your deep sleep. So if you're getting naps throughout the day, you're going to take longer to get into those REM and deep sleep cycles, and you won't have as much of them because, again, it's correlated to the light. So the quality of sleep that you get, even if the amount of sleep is the exact same, will be way, way worse when you have fragmented sleep throughout with daily naps. Pull downs are hard to set up when you're using more than body weight. Well, do you even really need to use that much more than body weight? Are you doing these strictly pulling the bar all the way to your chest, 3 count eccentric, 2 count in the pause? If you are doing all that, it literally takes like 5 seconds to ask someone for a spot. All right, everybody, you know the drill. If you like the video, please like the video. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments. Any other comments, leave those too. Have a nice day.